Morning, everybody. Welcome to our celebration of Sri Rama's birthday. I was waiting for the clock to chime. I think it's mixed up with daylight savings. So the program is we start with some chanting by the Sridharaprana nuns. Then we'll have a talk by Karti Selvarajan, and then a talk by Sridharaprana. And then please stay back and get a share of the sweets and savouries that are being offered. So invite the nuns now to do the chanting.
मङ्गलं कोसलेन्द्राय महनीय गुणाब्धये चक्रवर्ती तनूजाय सार्वभौमाय मङ्गलम् वेद वेदान्त वेद्याय मेघश्यामलमूर्तये पुंसां मोहनरूपाय पुण्यश्लोकाय मङ्गलम् विश्वामित्रान्तरङ्गाय मिथिलानगरीपते भाग्यानां परिपाकाय भव्यरूपाय मङ्गलम् पितृभक्ताय सततं ध्यातिभिः सह सीतया नन्दिताखिललोकाय रामभद्राय मङ्गलम् त्यक्तसाकेतवासाय चित्रकूटविहारिणे सेव्याय सर्वयामिनां धीरोदाराय मङ्गलम् सौमित्रिणा च जानक्या चापबाणाशिधारिणे संसेव्याय सदा भक्त्या स्वामिने मम मङ्गलम् दण्डकारण्यवासाय खण्डितामरशत्रवे गृध्रराजाय भक्ताय मुक्तिदायास्तु मङ्गलम् सादरं शबरीदत्त फलमूलाभिलाषिणे सौलभ्यपरिपूर्णाय सत्त्वोद्रिक्ताय मङ्गलम् हनुमत्समवेताय हरीशाभीष्टदायिने वालीप्रमथनायास्तु महाधीराय मङ्गलम् श्रीमते रघुवीराय सेतोल्लङ्घितसिन्धवे जितराक्षसराजाय रणधीराय मङ्गलम् आसाद्य नगरीं दिव्याम् अभिषिक्ताय सीतया राजाधिराज राजाय रामभद्राय मङ्गलम् मङ्गलाशासनपरैर्मदाचार्य पुरोगमैः सर्वैश्च पूर्वैराचार्यै सत्कृतायास्तु मङ्गलम् मङ्गलाशासनपरैर्मदाचार्य पुरोगमैः सर्वैश्च पूर्वैराचार्यै सत्कृतायास्तु मङ्गलम्
I'll invite our dear old friend Karti, who's grown up with us, to give his talk.
Good morning. The Ramayana is an ancient text that, for me, it's timeless. It has relevance And every time I've read the book or the text, I learn something new. From when I was small, I became familiar with it through my father. And I learnt a lot of texts, ancient Hindu texts, from him. And the Ramayana, for me, is a really difficult text to read. Not because it's poorly written, not because of the stories, but because of in the entirety of the story. It's a very difficult story. Rama is the ideal man, and this is exemplified by what he has to go through, which is why I tend to like the Mahabharata a little bit more, because of the difficulties that Rama goes through. The story starts off actually really, really positively in terms of the build-up. You have a Dasaratha, a king who really wants to have children, and he gets his wish. Then that builds into having 4 sons, and there is really good cohesion in the family. And all of the children work well together, they build together, and you can't see that there could anything go wrong in this situation. And then, unfortunately, one event occurs that then spirals into further events that are more increasingly difficult and more difficult. So for me, every time I go through that ascendancy and then get to that point where it then goes down, I find that really difficult, which is why I find it a difficult read. But it also has a lot of gems in the story that, again, although difficult, I do come back to the text and read over again. And the way I see the story, it has a lot of choices that are made by the characters. And we also have choices in our life. Such choices are when, and I'm going to do this a bit non-chronologically, Sita chooses to desire the golden deer, and then subsequently steps out of the circle of protection. Rama chooses to honor his father's words, even when it means losing everything, and in terms of the kingdom. Lakshmana chooses to leave Sita against his better judgment, and Dasaratha choosing to keep his promise, even though it destroys him. So these are all intensely internal, and all of the characters you can feel quite deeply. So again, I reiterate again, it's a difficult text for me. But it's emotionally powerful. And I'll return to that major point that I touched on, where the story ascends. And it's at this point when Kaikeyi's story in the Ramayana is the starting point of when it gets more and more difficult for Rama as a character. I will say that as the story goes through, you see how the ideal man deals with all of those setbacks. And it's not something I don't think any normal mortal being would do. Again, this is something for us to understand, and sometimes difficult to do so. So in terms of the first point where it starts to get more difficult, at the height of the kingdom's joy, Rama is about to be crowned. Dasaratha is full of pride, and the people are in celebration. Kaikeyi is Rama's stepmother. Her son is Bharata, and she's extremely happy with where the kingdom is, with the celebration that's about to unfold. Nothing can go wrong in her mind. She's full of joy. She then has a conversation with her maidservant, Mantra, and with a few words and a suggestion, a seed of doubt occurs in her mind, and everything changes for her. And from there, she demands Rama's exile and Bharata's coronation. That one decision sets off a chain of reactions: exile, death, war, separation, and grief. But what's remarkable is that nothing actually happened to Kaikeyi in terms of that conversation. Physically, nothing happened to her, nothing significantly in terms of a certain person. It was a seed of doubt that she chose to take on and view, and it changed her world perspective. And I think we all have our way of seeing and framing the world. And it's our choice on how we see and frame the world, no matter what information is provided to us, no matter what's going on in the world. We can choose to see the world in many different ways. And in the story, it's quite interesting seeing her have that shift in perspective, just from a little piece of information. And that was her choice to make that. And I just find that really remarkable, because then that sets off the chain of events, such a small piece of information. And so she went from having intense joy to then losing it. And it was mainly, I feel, because that was her thoughts. And I think for us, as we see the world, we wake up every day, we get to choose how we enjoy the world. It's not because of anything else, I feel, that happens around us. We can deal with that pretty easily. I think it comes down to how you want to see it, how you want to enjoy the world, how you want to have happiness. And the good thing is that potentially you can have happiness now. There's no reason why you can't have that apart from yourself. And I think coming to the mission, that helps with understanding. The next part of the story that I think is pertinent is straight after that event is Bharata and his quiet selflessness and the good that he possesses. And I think sometimes with a story like Ramayana, where you have these large events and turning points and the war, when I first read the story, Bharata's actions didn't really hit me in the first time I read it. It was only probably the third or the fourth time. And it's really hard for me to pick up. And that's because of the way of what Bharata did and the way it's done, and also the world we live in and the media and so forth in terms of what catches your eye. So the minute Kaikeyi, I guess, is successful in having Rama banished and Bharata coronated, Bharata doesn't take the crown. When he finds out that Rama is exiled, he actually goes into the forest to find Rama and to bring him back. And that's a difficult thing for most ordinary people to do, to have power right in front of him, given to him, and then to decide to not take it and understand what's in his mind the right thing to do. And he goes back and he takes Rama's sandals and brings it back and puts it on the throne. And he returns to Ayodhya, lives a life of simplicity and restraint, and refuses the royal comforts that should really be his, as far as the events are concerned. But he chooses to run the kingdom and keep it for Rama. And I believe there are people like Bharata all the time, happening every day. I think the difficulty is that it's very hard to see. It's not something that's eye-catching. It's not something that's really media flavorsome, right? I mean, you could say, a great example is Trump. You could say he's very far away from Bharata, but you can see how much the media is enthralled with a character like that. I think the challenge for us is to be able to see the Bharatas in the world today, because they are there, and to understand that. And it's a quiet goodness in the world that is there. And the challenge is to be able to look closely and to take notice. I've said it to my kids, you know, in my day, it was so much better. And it's completely false. It is always there. There are always good people around. You just have to see it. So that was really something, again, that I picked up after reading it at an older age and enjoying that part of the story. The other thing that in the story that I found I couldn't catch straight away, but I picked up as I've grown older and I've become a parent, is there's a point in the story, and apologies, I'm going to go backwards in time in terms of the story. I'm going back to when Rama is growing up. He's almost a man. He's learned the divine weapons. He's practiced a lot of the arts, and he's very capable. And Sage Vishwamitra comes to Dasaratha's court and asks for Rama's assistance in his yagna to protect him, as there were some people causing an issue with the yagna and preventing it from happening. So Rama was asked to support and protect it. When the sage made the request, Dasaratha was shocked. He begs for himself to go instead. And I remember reading this as a child and thinking, why? Why is the father so afraid? This child has grown up. He can completely decimate these demons. Even the sage knows this. But why is he so afraid? And I never really understood this until I had children. And you see them grow up and you think of them as children. You don't realize that they're growing up, they're becoming more autonomous, they're learning things, they're maturing, they're becoming their own people. And you still have this idea that they're a baby and they need your help. And I've caught myself thinking that. And I think the interesting thing here is seeing Dasaratha go through that, and then I myself reflecting on my own thoughts, saying this doesn't make sense, to now seeing that I do practice a bit of helicopter parenting and trying to control every risk and manage every decision. But that closes off the growth of the individual. And I think what Sage Vishwamitra does here is it opens that up not only for Rama, but for the king to realize that Rama is ready and Rama is grown and Rama is very powerful. And I think as a parent, I think that's something that you have to reflect on and learn. And I think it's part of preparing your children for the world. Obviously, it's not, there's a reason why you want to do that, but I think it's healthy to challenge and to see your children in a new light, because they're growing so fast. And then in conclusion, I think what the Ramayana means to me, it's a large epic. It's a story about the human spirit, our mindset, our choices, our relationships. It's something that I don't think one read is enough. I think it's something you have to read at different points in your life. And I think it's important to understand that there's always something to learn. And I'm pretty sure in about 10 or 20 years' time, I'll probably be reading it again. Probably after 3 or 4 times of reading the Mahabharata. But I think the choices that I covered in terms of Kaikeyi and having that perspective on life and knowing that you have the ability to change your frame of view, Bharata's quiet selflessness, and knowing that there are people like that in the world and enabling yourself to have the eyes to see that. And then Dasaratha and his love and understanding that you need to see people that you love the most in new eyes every day. The Ramayana begins with joy, but moves through grief, separation, and sacrifice. In that way, it reflects real life. The highs, the heartbreaks, and the quiet triumphs are from within. And that's why I keep returning to it, to read and reflect. Thank you.
Om Ramaya Ramachandraya Ramabhadraya Vedase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaya Pataye Namaha. Salutations to Rama, a veritable moon in giving delight, a haven of safety, all-knowing, the chief of Raghus, the lord of Sita, and the master of all. Today is Rama Navami, the 9th day of the full bright fortnight of the Chaitra, month of Chaitra. 9th, that's why it's Rama Navami. And we all know the story. Beautifully, it has been interpreted by Karti. Very good ideas. Yeah, the one choice, the major choice, the whole story. If she hadn't made that, we wouldn't have known Rama, we wouldn't have known anything, the greatness of, to know the greatness, difficulties. Difficulties are the ones which brings forth the goodness and the greatness. Until and unless we nicely rub against the stone, the gold will not shine. The gold will shine the more it's rubbed. So these difficulties are the ones which bring out the real stuff in the paper. And Ramayana has been given to us by our sages as a code of the standard of living. This is the code of law the great sages have given. And this Ramayana has for ages shaped the nation, its values. It's deep into the psyche of the nation. In all our lives, we try our best at least to implement a bit of the virtues that are mentioned in Ramayana. Any true woman of India, especially Hinduism, will imbibe something of Sita. And every Hindu child will imbibe something of Sri Rama. Sri Rama and Sita are our parents, just like Shiva and Parvati are Rama and Sita are the parents. They are the icons of our civilization. Valmiki mentions that Sri Rama is the very embodiment of Dharma. So much, so well established in Dharma. You can even say Dharma had taken the form of Sri Rama. It's not an exaggeration at all. Dharma itself has taken the form of Rama, you can say. To such an extent, here it had become one with him. And Dharma is the one which always comes in Ramayana. You see, in Hinduism, morality has never been regarded as a rigid set of commandment that has to be followed for the fear of, for the wrath of God. But rather, it has been understood as an attunement of the individual's life to the cosmic moral order. This is the light in which we have to see the story of Rama and Dharma. What is Dharma? As I told you, attuning one's individual life to the cosmos, to the cosmic. law. That is dharma. And what is the source of dharma? What's the source of dharma? Our lawgivers, like for example, Manu says that dharma's sources, one, the Vedas, the Smritis, and the life of the great people who have walked through the life, who have gone through, and one's own conscience. These are the four. It's not given for all of us to have complete understanding of the Vedas or the Smritis. And so it is safe for us to know what is dharma through the life of the great people, what the great people have done, how they have lived. In the Mahabharata, a question is asked to Yudhishthira, Kah pantha, what is the way? He says, Mahajano enagata sa pantha. True path is that which was followed by great men. So it's only safe for us to practice the moral life which has been led by the great people, by observing their life. So naturally this question comes, who is a virtuous person? What's the criterion of virtue, rather? Virtuous person, our lawgivers say, is he who is completely selfless. So a man of selflessness is a virtuous man. Completely selfless. Seen from this standard, we don't think anyone else is so selfless as Sri Rama. In our tradition, he has been regarded as the most virtuous person, adorned by millions of people for his uncompromising adherence to the virtue, dharma. Swami Vivekananda tells about Rama, the ancient idol of the heroic ages, the embodiment of truth, of morality, the ideal son, the ideal husband, the ideal father, and above all, the ideal king, Raja Ram, then Sitaram. Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram, Patita Pavana Sitaram. So we give Sitaram next, Raja Ram. He's the ideal king. So this has been presented to us by the sages like Valmiki, by the great sage like Valmiki. Later on, I'll come to Sita. Swamiji was very, very fond of her. Beautifully he has, I don't think anybody can appreciate and express their love and regard as Swamiji has expressed as regards Sita. So this has been the guiding principle. Selflessness. So a man of virtue is a selfless man. Millenniums before Buddha was born, there walked in that great land of holiness, Aryavarta, Bharatvarsha, a man holding a bow in his hand. How, with extraordinary virtue, demonstrating through his life how to discharge one's duties in life in a spirit of selflessness, non-attachment. Like Buddha, he too renounced the wife and the palace. Only Buddha did it for his sake. Sri Rama did it for the people's sake. And not that Buddha did it only for his personal, still, first he wanted to find out the truth, light for himself, and he did it. Sri Rama, he gave up the wife and the world, palace, for the sake of the people, for others, whatever it be. This is everywhere, all of them. Any character you see, this selflessness comes out as a shining jewel. And seen in this light, all the activities, all what Sri Rama has done is according to dharma. You may ask, what do you mean? Giving up one's own wife? Yes, that also he had to, because dharmas are of many types. One man has different dharma, different roles to play. Wife, a husband for the wife, and a king. A king is more important because something is personal. Wife, his own personal life. Sri Rama, as an embodiment of selflessness, could give up, but he had to be an ideal king. So what it means to be an ideal king, we understand by the life of Sri Rama, not with the standards of the present day. Now, royals are just celebrities. So that's not the definition of royal. The Hindu Varnashrama, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. The more you are higher you are in the hierarchy, the more is, what do you call, character, morality, everything is expected from you. A person of low standard can do, it's absolutely pardonable, no problem. But the Brahmana and Kshatriya who lead the country, Sri Krishna says, the great ones, whatever they do, the common man follows. So it's the responsibility of the great ones to set an example. So that is why so rigid and so sometimes you feel, rather it's not the right way to use, sometimes you are so ruthless, Ramachandra. Nothing could stop him from doing what was righteousness. Literally, the heart has to be plucked. Bleeding heart, Swamiji says. Selflessness is that. The bleeding heart, his heart has to be plucked and kept on the altar of the divine. The same thing, all the great people who have worked for the society, the way we got our independence, India. What is it? It's this blood. They gave their life. Nothing. Individual life is nothing. Collective. That's the idea. And Ramachandra, even in the forest, he selflessly did his duty as a Kshatriya in checking the evil people doing the wrong thing and harassing the common innocent people. He did it as it's the duty of Kshatriya. It's not that he was not on the throne, but as a Kshatriya, he was. And so when the sages came to him and poured out their sorrow, saying that we are not been allowed to do our religious practices or spiritual practices, there are great many evil forces that are obstructing our freedom of worship. Please help us. There he is. And Sita says, these people don't practically, if they have done personally nothing wrong to you, why do you do all this? You are inviting difficulties. He just brushes aside Sita's piece of advice. He says, I'm a Kshatriya. It's my duty to look after the other varnas. So I'm going to do. And another idea which comes into my mind is the brotherly love. Amazing. This love, this is what has been guiding the society all these millenniums. Even now you can see brothers closely knit. When I was in India, we need to do all sort of work. Sometimes I was given the job of looking after the dairy, milk, cows. I was very happy to be with them, very nice, the new knowledge I was getting and all that, was very nice. And a man used to come to milk the cow, and his name was Lakshman. I was very happy, nice Lakshman name. Then after 6 months, he came and told Mataji, I'm going away to my village. My brother is going to come here. He'll do my work. Ah, is it? What's your brother's name? Ram. Huh, your brother's name is Ram and your name is Lakshman. That's very nice. I said, we too I had 2 more brothers, Mataji. Bharat and Shatrughna. See, 4 brothers, they all lived together in family. And 2 brothers work, they're very poor. 2 brothers live in the village and 2 come to Calcutta to work. And 6 months they live here. But Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, Shatrughna, all together living and working for the whole family. Amazing, isn't it? Of course, as Kartik said, this will never be highlighted in the media, poor things. But see, this type of thing even happens now, and these ideas are still there. And Swamiji says, even 4 or 5 ignorant people discussing Ramayana, if they can discuss Ramayana and be happy, that shows the vitality of the nation is still there. He meant ignorant people, not educated. The so-called educated have got different ideas and it keeps changing according to their knowledge. But whereas innocent, simple people reading Ramayana and discussing and understanding, that will show the vitality of the nation. Swamiji's words. So this love for brothers, Rama was supposed to be incarnated and things went wrong. And it has to be the country, the nation, kingdom has to be given to Bharata. And 14 years was a long time. Those days, it was a very, very, hard punishment, 14 years. And he was asked to. And immediately, when Sri Rama came to know that his father had given the promise, finished, that's it, nothing else. Truthfulness, for the sake of truth, ready to give. That's the ideal son, ready to give up anything just to keep up the word of the father. He went. And when Bharata came to know that this has been done, he cursed himself for being born in the womb of Kaikeyi. He said, why was I chosen? Why was I born? He really literally wanted to get rid of the mother, but only he was afraid Rama will not accept him again as his brother if he did it. So he just swallowed the anger that he had on his mother for doing such an evil thing and went all the way in search of Rama and pleaded like anything, because that's the tradition. The eldest son of the family is the one who is going to rule. I don't want to break this tradition. Please, begging. And he was really feeling guilty. But in no way it was his mistake. But this love for the brother, I stood in my brother's way and pleaded like anything. And no one could. Rama was so much established in the dharma, in the truthfulness. I have given the word to my father, I will go, and none can do anything. Vasishta, the teacher of the dynasty, Raghuvamsha, Acharya he is. From the childhood, he has been instructing them. He comes and pleads, no. And finally, they had to compromise. Okay. Take this, sandals. You rule on my behalf. After finishing 14 years, I'll come. And promptly he came after 14 years and he ruled wisely, lovingly, so much so, even in the 20th century, people would be thinking we will have a Rama Rajya. Gandhiji speaks of Rama Rajya, the days of how Sri Rama ruled. It's, however Ethiopian it might sound, but it's a truth. It's a truth. One day or the other, it will rain. At least I feel. Anyway, and then this mutual concern for the brothers. And Lakshmana, there was no necessity for him to know. He was like the alter ego of Sri Rama. So he also gave up. Giving up was not at all a big thing because their minds were attuned to a higher thing. without that, none can renounce, none can give up. So if we want to climb a ladder, stairs, you have to keep, when you keep the first, then naturally you have to give up the second. Only when you keep your feet on the first, one foot on first, then only you will be giving up the second ground. So that is how. So once you get something higher, naturally it makes it easy, because your energy, your understanding, your mind is given to the higher things. And that is how it can, until and unless, if that is not there, there can be no detachment or no non-attachment. It cannot be. Attachment to something higher alone will give certain degree of detachment. And third one, the mutual concern. 14 years over, Sri Rama is supposed to go. He knew this Bharata, even one day, if he is late, he will give up his life. So immediately he sent Hanuman. Hanuman, you go and inform Bharata that I am coming. So that at least it will make him desist from doing something, any serious thing. Like he would give up his life or anything. Brother hasn't come. Oh, so that at least that can be avoided. You go immediately, because it takes time for him to come. But at the same time, he says, observe his reaction. If you feel there is some sort of like hesitation, please inform me so that I will not disturb him. Let him enjoy it. I will have my own way. So he observes, he tells him, asks him to observe the reaction of Bharata. And then, of course, he comes and promptly says, Bharata is anxiously waiting for you. So he came back and got coronated. And we know, and the painful thing is, when Ravana was killed, finished everything, Sri Rama asks Sita to come. And then he says her a bitter truth. Bitter truth, I mean, it's very hard for us to take up. Look, I have done all this not for your sake. I have to get my family, this great Raghuvamsha, has been, what do you call? It's a bad name. It's a stigma. So to get rid of this, I have done this. Now you are to tell that he was feeling so bad, hesitant, painful. He's walking up and down. He is not able to face it. And it's pain. There's a pain in him. But he had to speak. He spoke. And there is only one person who could stand equal to Rama. That was Sita. Tulsidas says, Sab par Ram tapasvi Raja. Above all, Sri Rama was a tapasvi. He was a king, austere king, given to firm austerity. Hence, only Sita's austerity matches with his austerity. She says, you should have told this when you sent Hanuman. There was no need for you to go through all this trouble. I would have finished my life. And why did you take the trouble of doing all this? Why didn't you tell me before? Fine. Okay. She orders Lakshmana, light up a fire. I am going to enter the fire. And she says, if I am truly pure, my mind has not deviated from my path, that is devoted to Sri Rama, then this fire cannot burn me. This is the only sentence she says, and she enters. The fire becomes cool. It loses its dharma. It can't burn. And the god of fire comes and he says, this Sita is pure. Have no doubt about it. And Sri Ramakrishna was extremely happy. Sri Rama was extremely happy and he was relieved. He knew, he says, I know I cannot suspect my shadow. Sita was nothing but his shadow. She was one with him. You cannot doubt your shadow. But I had to do this because I don't want the queen of Ayodhya to have any stain in her. She has to, that is why I did it. So he was very sorry to do that. He did it. And he succeeded because truth always triumphs. Satyameva jayate. This is the thing which our rishis have given. So truth triumphs. And she came out. So they came back, lived happily. And finally, again, he had to give up his, because now he was not Sitaram. He was Rajaram. He was a king. And vulgar people, mob and common people are, it doesn't take much time for them to be happy and become excited. And it doesn't take much time for them to rebuke you and to speak ill of you. The same people of Ayodhya started speaking rumors. This Rama, he doesn't even have, he's so shameless. He has taken a wife who had lived 1 year in the Ravana's palace. She didn't live in the palace, first of all. She lived in the Ashokavana. But the common man did takes forget. And he has taken her back. So that means to say there's no standard. Our women can do anything and we'll have to abide by it. So this sort of rumors, when it started coming, he had to. That was the day, morning, he had heard that he had become father. Sita was going to expect. And that very night he got this news. Because, people, they send their people and to find out the general trend, what the people's needs are, what people are talking, what can he do, all sorts of things. They go in disguise, the ministers or the spies, and they go and find out. So that was the news. And just imagine how it should have been for Rama to suspect such a worthy person, great person. It's a people this time. But he had to abide by it. And so he had to. And she had requested that she would like to go on a retreat to the sages and live for at least one night with the hermitists in the forest, because that would do good to her child. She didn't know that she's going to have twins. So Rama had said, certainly I will fulfill your desire to go to holy company, to get the holy company, that's fine. And she never knew when Lakshmana took her to the forest. He sent Lakshmana take her, and he brought it near Valmiki's ashrama and left her. And he says, mother, because the sister-in-law is like mother. That's another important thing, idea. So I have come to leave you permanently here. This is the order of Rama. See, when Rama, and the first time when Rama went to forest and she accompanied him forcefully, she said, no, I am where you are. Voluntarily she went, and she was full of joy, happy, because she'll be always with Rama. That forest dwelling was voluntarily taken. But when as soon as she heard this, she fainted and fell down. When she came back, she says, I blame none. See the goodness of the ladies. I blame none. I blame my destiny. So that is how she took it. And we know later on how she gave birth to twins, and they were brought up by Valmiki himself, and he educated them. And finally, the children. And another one important thing we should remember, Raja Ram, always he abided by the wish of the subjects. Only once he said no to them. That was, they wanted to have a yajna, Ashwamedha yajna, whatever it is. So any religious thing done, the wife has to be there. She's co-religionists, they call Sahadharmini. In all the religious activities, the wife has to be there. That's the need. So now Sri Rama doesn't have his wife. So what to do? The people said, no, you marry for second time. You marry another wife because Kshatriya kings can. No. What do you call it? What is it? Dasharatha himself had a harem full of women. So that's how the olden days it was. So it's second wife would have been another wife you can marry. He said for the first time he stood against the wishes of the people. He said, no, Sita and Sita alone will rule my heart. There is no place for any other woman other than Sita. And so for the festival, the children had to come, and they came and they sang the Ramayana. Valmiki taught them and he set it to tune, and he asked the kids to go and sing. Everywhere, all of them. And there was no doubt Rama could make out that these are his children. Valmiki comes, yes, these are your kids. Then really Rama wanted to get back his Sita. And still he had his duty towards his people. Once let Sita tell that she is pure. Let her convince the people. I'll be happy. She can come back. She had to now convince these vulgar, common people. She said, you want a proof? Here is the proof. And she said, let the Mother Earth split and take me in. This is the proof of my purity. And the earth split and the goddess of earth came. Actually, Mother Sita belonged to none. She has no cause. Philosophically speaking, she is no cause. If Sri Rama is the Purusha, if she's Prakriti, she's no cause. There's no cause. That's why in the Chandi you can see, Ayonija. I'm no womb. I have come out of no womb. Ayonija. It's the eternal principle that's always there. Causeless cause. So she has no cause. So that's the idea. Philosophically speaking, that's the idea behind Sita found in the earth, from the earth, and then going back into earth. That's the philosophically speaking is that. And she goes back. See, she had no need for Rama. She had done her duty. Here also, she looked after her children, gave them all the values, brought them up, and she gave the children back to the nation, to the kingdom. My duty is finished. No looking at Rama. No hankering for enjoyment. That is the beauty of this characters. And she did her job and walked away. And I really feel happy, that is the right, that is the strength of Mother Sita. I'm so proud that she did not, yes, let me prove that, and then go back to Rama. The fact she didn't go back to Rama, really, I love it. I'm so proud of Mother Sita. And it's a beautiful thing. In the Ramayana, what Swamiji says, let me tell you something about what Swamiji says on Sita. And what to speak of Sita? You may exhaust the literature of the world that is in the past. I'm sure that you will have to exhaust the literature of the world in the future before finding another Sita. Sita is unique. That character was depicted once and for all. There may be several Ramas, but never more than one Sita. She is the very type of the true Indian woman. For all the Indian ideals of a perfected woman have grown, all the Indian ideals of perfected women have grown out of that one life of Sita. And here she stands these thousands of years, commanding the worship of every man and woman and child throughout the length and breadth of the land of Aryavarta. There she is, will always be, this glorious Sita, purer than the purity itself, all patience and all suffering. She who suffered that life of suffering without a murmur. She, the ever chaste, ever pure wife. She, the ideal of the people, the ideal of the gods, the great Sita, our national ideal. She must always remain. Mark my words. Sita has gone into the very vitals of our race. See? She has gone into the very vitals of our race. He goes unending. Let me conclude with a very beautiful, I don't want to end it with a tragedy. When Sita, going back to when Rama had to go for the forest, all are there. Vasishta is there. Vasishta's wife also has come hearing that this is happening, and Rama, Lakshmana are there, and everybody is telling Kaikeyi, this is from this evil idea. Don't do this. And finally, Vasishta says, let Rama go to forest. Sita will sit on the throne, in his throne, and rule. I think nobody cared for that word. This idea I read from one of our Swamis speaking. He drew the attention. We had read the Ramayana, we did read. We didn't think in these lines. That's why I'm sharing it with you. Vasishtha says, let Sita be in the palace. She will sit in the Rama's throne and do that thing. Nobody gave a word to his words. And Sita herself wouldn't have done that because all she wanted was where Sri Rama is, there she is. If he is in the palace, if he is in the forest, that's palace for him. And if he's not there, this palace is nothing but a hell. So where Rama is, Sita is. So she didn't even give ears to that. And I think nobody gave ears in this over the millennium, I think so. See, Vasishta is a Brahmarishi, knower. His resolve is truth. Whatever he speaks is certainly truth. It can never go wrong. And his words did come true. How? Not in the Treta Yuga, in the Kali Yuga. When Sri Rama embodied himself as Sri Ramakrishna, and Mother Sita embodied herself as Holy Mother. Holy Mother herself says, I am Sita. And you know, where we all know that when she went to Rameshwaram, she saw the Rameshwar Shiva. She said, oh, it's just as how I had kept it. Sita had made the Shivalingam and Rama had worshipped. And that one had been covered over the ages later on. They had covered a covering, gold covering. So when Holy Mother went to Rameshwaram, they removed that covering and so that she could worship with 108 golden Vilva she did. And as soon as she saw, she said, oh goodness, it's the same as how I had kept it. In Treta Yuga, she had kept it. And the Rameshwaram Shiva is still there. And she exclaimed. So that's the proof. And then in this age, Sri Ramakrishna gave the whole responsibility for her. He said, should only these do? Don't you have any responsibility in this? Mother said, what can I do? I'm a woman. What can I do? He said, no, you have to do more than what I have done. And we see, after the passing away of Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother became master and mother, one, Ramakrishna Sharada. Sri Ramakrishna she was the living embodiment of Ramakrishna life. And she did this spiritual ministration for 35 years and proved that Vasishta's words, a Brahmarshi's words, are not false. It's only a question of time. And body is nothing. Body may be different. The one within that which is in is the same, coming again and again, according to the need of the people. And when I first, as a young girl, when I read Sri Ramakrishna's life and Sri Ramakrishna worshipped Holy Mother, I was so happy. The Mataji who had given me the book, the next week when I went, Did you read? How did you like? Mataji, I liked it very much. Sri Ramakrishna worshipped Holy Mother. Good. He sent Sita, banished Sita, and now he had to worship compound interest. With compound interest, he had to worship in this yuga. Just because what he did in Treta Yuga, he had to adore and worship her as the Divine Mother. And he gave the full freedom. Because these incarnations also do according to the age, time, and all that. It's the need of the age. And those days, society was like that. Women were subordinate. In this age, if he had to come and do that, people would have thrown him out. Why do we worship? Because he gave equal importance. This is age of women empowerment, all that. So in this age, he cannot do that. In this age, he has to give equal importance. And that Sri Ramakrishna did it completely. There's for certain, there's no difference between me and her, he said. They are one soul living in two bodies. Thank you.
Few announcements. We've got the yoga class this Thursday. Then please note we've got the school holidays coming, so there's no yoga classes on Thursdays during the school holidays. Next Friday, we have the Bhagavad Gita discussion led by Sridharaprana ji. Next Sunday, the monthly talk on Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Oh, and by the way, tonight, Sridharaprana ji via Microsoft Teams will be giving a Bhagavad Gita class from 8 to 9 p.m. Also, be aware that over the Easter weekend, we won't be having the Friday discussion or the Sunday talk. There will be a retreat at Rama with Sridharaprana ji from Saturday through to the Monday of the Easter weekend. And as we've been announcing every week for many weeks now, we've got a very special event on Sunday, the 18th of May from 2 to 4 p.m. We've got Australia's Race Discrimination Commissioner coming, Kirti Sridharaprana, plus other distinguished guests and speakers. And we'd be very happy for you all to attend. And if you are planning to come, now's the time to start letting us know. We need to be planning and get an idea of the numbers, and for catering, there'll be some afternoon tea served to everybody. So if you're coming, please start letting us know, confirming that. Now, please stay back and get a share of the sweets and savories that have been offered.